Hello, everyone, and welcome to Adobe Live. I'm your host, Kieran Lewis, freelance graphic designer based in London. And today is part 2 of our Adobe live stream with graphic designer, Hayley Feathers from Studio Seaside. Hayley, how are you doing today?
Hi, I'm great. I'm super excited to be here.
So, awesome. Part 2. I mean, the time's kind of flown by from yesterday, which is awesome. Yeah. So just to kick off for the audience, just a few things as a reminder. If you've missed the stream just before us, be sure to check out the new Illustrator Daily Creative Challenge with Julia Vaca every weekday at 11:30 a.m. Pacific. So tune in and take those Illustrator skills to the next level. And today's also a good one because we have our Artist Spotlight. So for anyone who's quite new about Artist Spotlight, that is a segment within the Adobe Live community where we celebrate creatives and put a good spotlight on them. So definitely stay tuned. And as always, we love to see your comments. I can see everyone kind of coming in quite thick and fast. So if you're on YouTube, pop over to Behance and I can feed those questions directly into Hayley while she creates some designs. And I can see we've got Robert, Laura, Voodoo Val keeping everything nice and safe, Tiana and Sean. So a massive welcome to everyone here. But Hayley, everyone's here for you, not me. Let's have an introduction about who you are and what we're working on today.
Yeah, so my name is Hayley Feathers. I'm the founder of Studio Seaside. We specialize in branding and web design for online creative businesses. And we also help fellow graphic designers with coaching and online courses so that they can take their side hustle to creative expert full-time business. And today I'm really excited to work on part 2 of the Flaire & Co. brand identity project. Where we are rebranding their business to take it from kind of a DIY brand to a more modern and sleek, fun, youthful brand identity. Nice. So should we jump in?
Let's do it. And is it Zillenials as well? Just so we...
Yes, yeah.
That's the one. Yep. Awesome. Nice.
Okay.
So for any students or even graduates, this could be a nice one for you guys as well if you're in the chat. But again, if you're not, it's for everyone. So it's all good.
And I know I kind of want to buy some of the stuff because it's skin friendly, waterproof, and then also super affordable. So really fun. But let's just go over where we left off yesterday. So we kind of started with some typography exploration. We created custom ampersands for the and. We had a fun poll for one of the letter forms for the E. We created some color palettes and color exploration. And then last night and this morning, I did a little bit extra work to kind of get us to a point where we're ready to start building the branding presentation. So I kind of finished up some of the color decisions. I worked on a fun submark. So this is not a primary logo, but it's used as like an additional graphic element. I made some typography choices and then kind of like mocked up some typography in use so that we can start exploring building out that brand presentation.
Can you zoom in a bit on those the circles? They look really, really cool so the audience can have a nice view of those. They look great. Really nice. So they could be like stickers or fun pattern, like a tissue paper pattern, or just like even Instagram highlights, stuff like that. We're going to explore all the different applications today. Because one of the really important things that I do is I make sure to show my clients mock-ups of the brand identity in use, because it's really important for them to be able to visualize it instead of just seeing it on a white background. If they can see it in use in applications that apply to their brand, then it just helps them have a better understanding of how to use the brand identity. Nice, I get that.
Yeah.
I can see as well, we've got in terms of location, we've got a lot of people that are viewing in today, Hayley, for for your stream. So we've got from Dominican Republic, we have got Denmark, Sweden, all different types of parts of the world,
Awesome.
which is amazing. So a massive,
cool.
massive welcome. Like we said before, definitely get those questions in. It's related to branding, related to, Hayley's design process, or even just how design, Hayley, finds her influence. Get those questions in there, and I will definitely share them directly to Hayley while she creates some design magic. So yeah. We're good.
Okay, cool. So I think what we'll do first is kind of go back to that brand foundation document that I showed in the first video. And it has the kind of like the strategy behind the brand identity. And what I do is I give that to the client to approve before design begins. Once they approve it, I then update it with the new brand identity. So I've kind of gone through this morning and updated a few of the pages. I've updated the paragraph styles and kind of I'll fine tune as we go. But I want to focus on these few pages. So this is kind of like focusing on the actual brand identity and what we'll present to the client. So I always show the brand, the primary logo on its own. And then I also come in and talk about why we've made certain choices. So we created this custom ampersand. So I'll talk about that. We're using a lowercase font. I'll talk about that. I'll talk about the color choice. This is quite like an extensive process that takes like me thinking about what I'm going to say. So I won't do that today, but just giving an example of kind of what will go on this page. And then I'll bring in the logo mark. So kind of depending on like where we end up for the brand identity, there's a lot of different variations of the brand. So this page could be, sometimes it's the logo mark, sometimes it's the sub mark. It just kind of depends on like what we created. But I like to show it on white background and then also on a colored background, just to give them that contrast. And then I'll also explain the rationale behind this mark too. So if anybody was here yesterday, we made the F and the and into like that monogram. And then also I'll go ahead and explain those choices. And then I'll create like a fun brand pattern or all the variations into a page here. And then we will format this page so that it has all of the variations of the logo. And then we'll do brand colors, typography exploration. So last night I decided to pull the trigger on a really fun font from Sharp Type. It's called Beatrice. And I have it in thin and regular. And I just thought it was still like contemporary and modern, but like also kind of fun and youthful. So I felt like it was the best fit. And so that's kind of like the presentation part. And like, I'll talk about the rationale and all that behind why I made those choices. And then these final pages are kind of what are going to sell the brand identity to the client. And so that's what we're going to work on today, is creating these like fun mockups that are really going to sell the project. So
awesome. You always feel like mockups are always a bit of a win, aren't they, in terms of selling it to the client, which is very cool.
Yeah. And I always try to choose mockups that are appropriate for the brand. So like she's jewelry, so she like would have maybe a hang tag or like a mailing box or tissue paper. And then of course, like a home page, like a e-commerce site, just a quick mockup, or social, we'll do a social template, stuff like that. So that they can really visualize what it will look like. So we can get started. Let's see.
I think just to add as well, I think even again for those in the chat, especially if branding is perhaps something you want to get into, and just seeing how you've presented it, Hayley, as well on InDesign, and the layout is really, really nice and digestible for the client. So just even the content's great, but even the way you just presented it with things in nice grids and white spacing, it just makes everything breathe a bit more. So, so it's nice to see that process. Definitely.
Yeah, and then like kind of how I mentioned yesterday is I use the one concept method, and so I'm only presenting this one logo to the client. Like they're not going to get a choice. And so I really want to be able to explain all of my design rationale and choices. And by putting together a presentation, it just is an easier way to be able to do that. Yeah. So yeah, we'll create some IG highlights, put that mock-up together, and then really start to creating the mock-ups is probably like more time consuming on my end than creating the brand identity sometimes, because it's like you want to get it just right. And then I've had situations where I've created like packaging or business cards that weren't necessarily in the scope, but the client saw them and they were like, oh, we really want you to design the packaging for us for this project.
That's nice.
Yeah.
So it's opened up doors in a way to other things that you potentially at the beginning never thought could be a thing, but it's, you have that discussion, and yeah, it's quite nice how it's unraveled the different ventures. Very
yeah.
Cool. Yeah. And again, for the audience, get those questions. I can already see questions coming in, but get those questions that are related to branding, and again, just seeing the color swatches, or if you're curious about how Hayley, finds the colors or the fonts that we've used, get those questions in there. And I'll feed them in. And we've got a message here from Tyler, who said, there are a ton of great type foundations out there. What does the font selection process look like for you, Hayley? Are there any type of boundaries that you like to stay close to?
Off the top of my head, I guess I have like, it just depends. It depends on the budget. And then also like the whole vibe of the project. I got this font from Sharp Type. I really like them. They have like definitely more high-end fonts. So yeah, I mean, that's something to keep in mind too when you're buying fonts for projects, is like, are you going to pay for it? Is the client going to pay for it? But so I like Sharp Type. I do have like a bookmarked list that, so I don't have to remember it, but trying to think what else. Like Creative Market has affordable fonts that are typically unique. And then like, as far as my process, I'll just kind of I'll initially decide like, do I want serif or sans serif? Do I want like contemporary, timeless? Like I'll just kind of like decide on the style, and then I'll start the exploration from there. And I'll pull a bunch of options. And a lot of the foundries have like, you can test out the font. And sometimes like, you can like screenshot and then outline and then like kind of play with it to see how it will work before you decide to purchase it. So just a lot of trial and error.
I feel like it's definitely one of those ones you have to experiment. And it's a good question, Tyler, as well. If you guys in the chat have your ways of how you find fonts, again, Adobe font as well, we've got a great selection on there. Definitely share your kind of ways where you find fonts. And I think yesterday as well, we spoke about how do you kind of archive or save your fonts. I feel like some designers have hard drives backed up, or websites bookmarked. But yeah, I guess it's whatever works for you. And again, kind of going through that, it's sometimes nice to have like a point of contact where you can always go back to your fonts, and rather than start from fresh, it's nice to kind of have a starting block. So get those comments in there, and how do you find ways of finding your fonts? And I'm sure Hayley and I would love to hear about it.
Yeah. And I'm like kind of like an online course junkie, but I've taken courses that one of the parts of the course was like a roundup of all of her favorite font pairings, or just like foundries. And I often will reference back to that to just like get ideas. So yeah. Okay, so I did the mock-up in Illustrator, and then I brought it into Photoshop. I could have done it in Photoshop, but I'm just way faster in Illustrator. So I usually just like paste over. I think what I might also do is like down here, add a little pop of color in that one of those.
It's looking good already, just to kind of see it come to life. It's looking really, really good. I think, looking great.
Just like add one of these guys, maybe.
got a lovely question from her. So Aylin said, "I'd love to see your process. What time frame do you communicate to your client for such a project from start to finish?"
Yeah, so usually I tell them it takes 4 to 6 weeks, depending on how much collateral they're doing for the branding process. And we start week 1 with the one-on-one consultation, and then the creative direction that has to be approved. And then so about 2-ish weeks for design. And then we have a one-on-one consultation around the end of week 2, middle of week 3, where we're going over the brand identity. And then depending on if there are changes, then that will take us into week 4, and then creating the style guide and all of that, wrapping up the finalized files. So about 4 to 6 weeks. And yeah, which
I remember as well in yesterday's session, we kind of spoke about as well, the more, and again, it's great for perhaps anyone who's just starting out in design or the creative industry. If you're kind of new to design process, the more work you do and the more clients you have, the more you have understanding of who you are as an individual and your design time and how long things take you to do it. Because again, it definitely sort of ranges with each client, but the more you do work, the more you kind of have an idea of how long things might take. We touched on that yesterday, which was good.
Yeah, and I have I'll have multiple client projects at once, so it's like if I was just working on one client project, then I could potentially get it done faster. But also just for my creative process, like I think I said this yesterday too, I have to stop and I can't just do it all in one go. I don't think my best work comes that way. So, it's sleeping on it, it's coming back to it, it's playing with it, is really important. So, yeah.
It's interesting you mentioned that. Yeah, even today, actually, my partner were having a walk and we spoke about the idea of, would you rather one solid project for say 2 months or a range of different ones within say 2 weeks? And I mean, everyone's different. It'd be good to know in the chat, what do you prefer, if it's say one project or a few, but I don't know what your thoughts on this, but I mean, from my side, it's usually, I like to mix them up. I just think because maybe a bit of, variety is quite fresh and you can, strategically have timings for each one. And do you, from your side, Hayley, do you prefer to have maybe one solid client, or do you kind of range in between and dip out as you kind of go through your structure?
Yeah, I think I like to have a variety, but I do easily get overwhelmed. So, and I have a really hard time saying no. So I have to force myself to not take on too many projects. I think the ideal amount for me would be like 2 at a time. And we do web design also. So that takes longer, and that can be more in depth. And yeah, I would say like 2 one-on-one clients, if I was the primary account holder for that, or if I have my team working on then I can just kind of pop in and out and give my opinion on the project versus like having to be in there and designing.
Got a question from Chris as well. He said, so how, again, we touched on it yesterday, but it's good to know for those potentially who maybe wasn't in yesterday's session. How did you find this client, Hayley? How did you secure them?
They reached out to me. She found me on TikTok. So yeah, she, I think she follows me on TikTok and then saw one of my videos and reached out about a rebrand.
I think we had a few of your fans from TikTok yesterday that tuned in for.
Yeah.
It was good. We were sort of touching on, again, for anyone who wasn't in, it was because I've never used TikTok in my life, but again, it's different mediums out there, wherever works best for you. But yeah, it was good to know. I think a few people who've been following you for quite a while have been following you via your TikTok account, and then that's kind of how they known you and your design work, which has been really cool. And again, if you're in the chat, if you know Hayley from before, it'd be good to know how you found her. Was it through TikTok, or are you kind of close by in terms of towns, or LinkedIn? What other profiles out there? Yeah, I need to get on TikTok. I think we touched on it yesterday, but I'm old school. I haven't even gone there. I haven't. No, you did help me to, and I did promise I would do it if you watched yesterday's session. But I will do it on the weekend, and I'll see what the hype is. Definitely.
It's dangerous. You might get sucked in, so just be careful.
Watching memes or just we've already got Jenny said I found Hayley on TikTok too, so already we can see how they've been coming in.
Yeah. No, I love it. It's been fun to build community, and then and it's really helped my business grow over the past couple of years, which is really cool. So now I'm just creating like a, kind of like a website mock-up, just using all of the elements, just to, again, give them an idea of the brand identity in use, so that they can get a feeling for what it's like.
It's cool to see as well. Again, if anyone, especially in the chat, is quite new to the Adobe products, you can see right now, because you're switching in between Illustrator and Photoshop. So in a way, for us, it's almost second nature just to switch. But you might get people, maybe you're not used to this, thinking, "Wow, what is going on?" There's two different programs. But
yeah,
I mean, the more you watch, I was gonna say, the more you watch Adobe Live, you'll see how it's quite how they kind of interlink. I mean, do you find that you're using quite a lot of programs at once, and then you're kind of switching between the two from your end, Hayley? Or
yeah, I am actually using 3 right now. I'm using InDesign also. So what I do is I'll link the mockups directly in here. So you can see, I don't know if I can zoom in, but right here is the PSD file. And so I'll link it inside of InDesign, and then all I have to do is edit it in Photoshop and hit save. And then I don't have to go back and forth and import. So yeah, I definitely use those are my 3 programs that I use primarily, and I will use them simultaneously depending on the project. And so typically I'll use Photoshop for my mockup. So like I have like any sort of image I will use for Photoshop. And then any layout design I'll use InDesign, and then creating the brand identity itself will be in Illustrator.
Nice. And it's funny you mentioned when you said when you edit on Photoshop and you press say, it almost feels like magic, right? When you go pop into InDesign, you just see it's updated automatically. It feels like a bit of a win. So yeah, again, if you're very much new to sort of seeing these processes, the more you watch these lives, the more you'll start to see how they kind of do integrate with one another. And yeah, it's a great thing. I can see on the comments, it's quite nice to see everyone share their experiences about clients. We've got Chris who says, "I love switching between various projects and clients. Keeps my mind flexing. Nice. When I get overwhelmed, I stay up late at night on one particular project and get the design vibes rolling." I'm definitely down for that. Are you a late one? How do you tend to, again, everyone's got different ways, but are you a early bird? Are you working to the evening? No judgment here, just curious.
Definitely an early bird. And I think it's because I like in my the first job I had out of like moving out of the house was a coffee shop, and I woke up so early to go make coffee for everyone. And I think I just got in the habit of waking up really early. And now that I have kids, I'm exhausted by the end of the night. So staying up past like 10 p.m. is really not an option. So yeah, definitely an early bird. What about you?
I feel like it's changed. Maybe during lockdown, it's do you know what? I would like to say I'm an early bird, and I am to an extent, because my partner's very much an early bird, but I depending on the project, and if it's a deep one or a big one, I may work a little bit into the early hours. But then again, I feel like if I do, I'll be up early the following day. It's how I kind of operate. But I guess the beauty of freelance as well, you can, you kind of choose your hours. So even if I do work late, say the Monday night, Tuesday morning, I can have a bit of a lay in and then, work. And it differs definitely. Again, for those in the chat, it'd be great to know what's your kind of routine. Are you an early bird? Are you working to the early hours of the night with Spotify? What's your vibe? Definitely get those in. I can see as well the comments are coming in nice. So Jessica said, "Love Adobe integration, makes life so much easier." And Biola's just said, "I heard InDesign, so my ears perked up, I should say." So there we go. We've got a few InDesign lovers in there too, which is great.
Yeah, it really is fun to like just get in there and utilize it to its full potential. It always I feel it silly, but you can definitely geek out on it and get really into all the different features.
I mean, InDesign is it's my bread and butter. I love InDesign. I think Illustrator it's fun, especially when you've got a tablet and you can do things and you can create. But yeah, InDesign is probably where you'll find me hanging out. We've got 2 questions. One from Tyler, which is it's more on the business side of things, and the finance, which is quite an important one, which is quite good. So Tyler says, not really design related, but more on the business side of things. when pricing projects, do you tend to lean towards fixed pricing or hourly, or maybe both?
Yeah, so great question. I know a lot of designers this is a frequently asked question. So when I was first starting out, I priced hourly. And this is because that way you can you get charged for your time. It's going to take you a little bit longer. If you are designing something and you haven't designed before, you're not familiar with your process, it's going to take you a little bit longer. And so that way you are going to get compensated for your time. But as you start to become better at your job, you don't want to charge hourly, because the faster you get, the less you're going to make. And you want to also begin to charge based on the problems that you're helping the client solve. So in that case, I move on into project-based pricing. And then I also do something called value-based pricing, where depending on the scope of the project, depending on the client and their goals, we charge a different price for each project. So
Nice.
yeah, one project might cost $5,000, another might cost $10,000 for similar deliverables, but it just kind of depends on the client and their project.
So we've seen as well on your social media, which is quite great. You do a lot of workshops or even like tips and advice for especially when it comes to pricing, especially if you're just starting out or you're freelance or even just maybe even a senior and you know just curious. It's always good to kind of have those discussions about pricing, because I feel like it can be quite taboo depending on the subject or the client. It's you know, I don't know if you found it, but I've heard sometimes clients, if they're approached, they want a number straight away, but for me it's more like, let's have a discussion first and understand what you need, and then we can really digest this. You know, once we have the scope of the project as a whole, we can then, you know, think of a number rather than just pluck a number out the air. I don't know if you found that sometimes you have to kind of walk the client through that.
Yeah, absolutely. I always have a discovery call before giving out any proposal. And because I have like a niche offering. So like we're offering the same thing, but it's custom priced per project. So it's a little bit easier to like streamline my process that way. But yeah, so we will hop on a call with the client and then send a custom proposal if they are on board with the price that we give them in the call. So yeah.
Good question, Tyler. Yeah, thanks. Again, it's those kind of questions are great to kind of hear, because it's all part of, you know, as a creative, what we have to kind of navigate through, whether it's pricing or the design elements. So definitely get those questions if you're curious about the branding, or if it's finance related, or, you know, how Hayley works with her design team. Definitely get those in. And we've got another question from Voodoo Val, which is a good one. So she said, what do you do, Hayley, when you hit an art block whilst working on a tight deadline?
Ooh, that's a good question.
No pressure. That's a good one.
Depending on how tight the deadline, you know, I think getting up and even just walking around the block and getting fresh air definitely helps me. Looking through a magazine or, you know, even like scrolling through Instagram sometimes can help. I try not to like go too much to like other designers, because I feel like that I don't want that to like influence me too much. But that can help if I'm really stuck. I have, I'm sure I'm not the only designer that like saves magazines that I find that, you know, like even just scrolling through a magazine for layout inspiration or typography can be really helpful. Definitely getting outside, I would say, is like the number one for me.
Yeah, that's like, I mean, I it's weird because when my brain knows I've got a very tight deadline, I almost go into almost beast mode, and it's almost like, you know, the pressure's on, but you're fully focused. And in a way, I mean, it kind of keeps you on your toes. So as long as it's obviously you're reason you're not up until 4 a.m. in the morning designing. But yeah, I think sometimes a bit of pressure is kind of healthy in terms of kind of keeping yourself afloat, and especially if you're freelancing and you're a bit like me when you're just at home on your own, and it's a little bit of a lonely road when there's no influence potentially. So I don't know if I mean, if your team is perhaps, you know, easier to share comments, but yeah.
Yeah, I think I like, you know, I'll give myself, you know, 4 to 6 weeks for a project, and it could go quicker, but I do like to build in that buffer because I do also like to procrastinate. So, and sometimes I feel like you said, the deadline can kind of get some work out a little bit faster. So I think like sometimes I will delay and then end up working on it last minute, which is not always recommended, but it happens.
Of course, it's human. It's that human, nature. And I think yesterday we touched on it again. It's, with inspiration, you mentioned that you have a selection of podcasts. I remember you saying that that you listen to. But again, it's good to know. And again, for those in the chat, what is kind of your way of being inspired whilst you're designing? Are you pen to paper? Or do you go out for a walk? Do you listen to music? Background noise. And I remember you saying, Hayley, you're into your crime podcast. Is that right?
Yeah.
That's how you get your stuff done. I like it.
Yeah. That's one of them. Yeah.
So I can see what you're doing now on Photoshop, which is looking good. So you got your kind of bars in between and a nice color palette. Looking good. Yeah.
So what I do is this is actually a screenshot just from her website. And so it has her products and then the product name. And then because it's going to be really small, I won't bother updating this typography. If I need to, I can, but it's time consuming. And then I just kind of get these colors in here. Like it could be a button or add to cart or notify when ready. Cause when you bring it into the mockup, you can see it's pretty, it's great. Not super big. What I might do is
feel for it, which is good.
Yeah. What I might do is, cause you can see over here, I had the idea for the buttons to have the outline. So I probably will update that in Photoshop to make it consistent.
I think it's really cool as well how you've, sorry, go for it.
Oh, I was just going to say I could make these buttons in Photoshop, but I'm just so much faster in Illustrator. I am more comfortable. So I end up going back and forth a lot.
Yeah, I mean that's the beauty as well with what we do, at Adobe Live. It's your process, right? It's how you work and it's how you operate, and it works best. I mean, everyone's got their kind of own ways, and it's nice to kind of share those as well. We got Val, who said those hoop earrings. She definitely needs to copper some of those earrings because they're looking good. I can definitely see Val and those earrings. They're looking great.
Yeah, they're cute. And $10, that's
there we go. Exactly.
Very affordable. Yeah.
Maybe we might get some for my partner for Valentine's Day. You never know. They ship over to the UK. If they ship to the UK, then
I think so. Yeah.
And there we
imagine.
We've got Chris. He said, and this is a good question. I think we touched on a bit yesterday, but do you ever use XD for web design, Hayley?
Yeah, I do. I will use that for what, before XD was around, I was using Illustrator to mock up homepage or whatever, but now I do use XD. I really enjoy it actually. And I know some people use it for more than just web design. I know designers use it to create social media templates that they can hand off to their clients because it's free. I think it's one of the programs that's free. So people like it for that too. So yeah.
And that actually leads quite nicely in those XD, daily creative challenges. But also, even once myself and Hayley, our stream's done, there's a lot more content you can definitely watch. So don't be a stranger to sharpening those skills and watching other programs. And just a reminder as well, if you just kind of joined in, because you're about half an hour already into the stream, so a massive welcome if you've just joined. And we are in the process right now with Hayley Feathers, a graphic designer from Studio Seaside. And she's working on a brand refresh. And you can see today she's using multiple programs to create mockups for the client. So a massive welcome if you've just joined and get those questions in. I can see already, Hayley, a lot of questions. I need to actually start reading them because they're coming in thick and fast as we. I'm just going to try and drip feed them into you strategically so that we've got a bit of a space. But we've got a good question here for you, Hayley, from Cater, who said, "How do you know when you're finished with your work?" When's the end goal if you can just keep on going and churning out?
Yeah, good question. Because I think it come as you get more experience. It becomes intuitive. When you're done. But I think it's more if you've added everything you can, and then you can take away everything you can, and it still works with everything taken away. If that makes sense.
I like that, yeah.
So, try everything and then pare down as much as possible. And if it still works, then I think at that point, you're done. So
because it is tricky, isn't it? I guess, yeah, it's one of those ones, especially when you're even logo or just maybe creative design process as a whole. It's so easy for us to get caught up in our own little bubble and just keep churning, and then I guess having limitations are healthy as well, right? Just to kind of narrow down what you're working to, and with deadlines is healthy, I find as well, so that you have to kind of work to a definitive point. So yeah, great question, Indicator. So yeah, get those questions in. That really, really good.
Yeah. Okay. So it's starting to come together. So like you can already kind of see when they're all together, how it is starting to work. And I guess we could ask the audience, like, right now it feels like too much pink for me. And like, what if I made this either light, like this kind of like lime green? So yeah, should we add some less pink, take away some pink, or keep it? What does everyone think?
We'll make that into a question. So more pink or less pink? What's the what's the vibe of the room? What are you guys feeling? It's that's a good question, because again, it's quite easy to, because that pink is it's quite nice. It's a toned down version, isn't it? That you can almost like a tinted version. But yeah, if you guys feel like a different color maybe from the palette could be used, get those in there. And what I'll do is I'll start feeding those into you, Hayley, whilst they can't come in.
And let's see, we can even kind of explore its background. Where did it go? Let's see.
We've got an interesting question from Val. Said it's actually the $1 million question, which is very, very true. How do you speak to the value of a project when the client says this doesn't look designed, it's too simple for your pricing? I mean, that's subjective and anything, isn't it? But it's one of those ones, isn't it? I mean, you get those clients still.
Yeah, I think it always helps to come back to like who the clients, or like what are the goals of the project. And, I think always trying to have intention behind your design choices. And so that way, if something does come up that is questioned by the client or by whoever, then you can really justify why you've decided to make those choices. And so if it's minimal for a reason, then you can say, well, hey, like your ideal client wants a minimal design. That's why we did this. Minimal can feel more luxurious and high end, and less is a little bit more. And that's who your ideal client is. So I think, having intention behind all of your designs can help alleviate some of that pushback if you're able to justify it.
That's a very good point. You're dropping gems today for the audience. That's a very good, and actually it's weird because the green you've just picked out there, which looks great, it's almost like you've got a sixth sense with what Tyler, one of the audience in the chat, is saying, because he just suggested maybe more green. So that's quite a nice correlation. And again, we've got a few people who are saying the pink is looking good already. We've got Andrew said more pink. Chris is saying I like the pink as is. And then Tyler mentioned about the green. I think the green looks quite good as well. Actually, I think that's quite a nice tinted. Because again, they all work quite nice as a sort of definitive color palette as a whole. So quite a nice collection you've got there.
All right, let's try it. So, okay, here's the green. Oh, I kind of like it.
We've got Jessica who said, I like the blush pink, but I'm always for more neutrals. The pastels are working well here though.
I do like.
Great.
Yeah, I think I like the green. I think it helps contrast the three different designs well.
Almost connects it as well, I guess. Because I look at, obviously the one on the left is obviously the biggest panel you've got, and then obviously you've got a green in the middle being the top right hand side. But again, if it feels like the two on the far left and right is a nice connection, the colors that you've got in either one. So yeah, it's a nice rationale, method to the madness, as it were.
Yeah, we could, and in those lines too, we could make one of these buttons green, but I think we'll move on and then kind of come back and refine, because that's what I like to do also, is just like, I think I said this yesterday, is I'll get stuck on like one small little detail that and then I might not even end up using it. So I have to force myself to be like, okay, we can come back to this. And
voice of reasoning.
If it's still bothering me, then we can do that. Okay, one of my favorite things about linking is that you can just go to the link in InDesign and then right click and then edit with Photoshop and it'll open it for you. So let's see, now we'll do tissue paper. And I think what we should do is create a brand pattern. So I don't know if I want to use the brand pattern from here. I think we should do something maybe with like the business name. So go here.
And whilst you're working on, just got a really good question actually from Kristen, who said, and this is a really good one actually. If you could sum up your design style in one word, Hayley, what word would it be? That's a big one. That's a tricky one. Well, we may tricky, I don't know, but what's your one word if you can sum it up in that?
My style. That's a good question. Yeah. I'm gonna say simple. I really try to be, I try not to overcomplicate things. So simple, I think is what I would say. And then if I had to choose more, or if I could choose more, I would say, yeah, like
subtitled.
Yeah. Or yeah,
simply
simple,
strategic. I like it.
Yeah.
That's a great question. It's it's again, actually, if you're a designer, what's for anyone in the chat, how would you sum up your design style? I mean, those kind of questions it's tricky, isn't it? Because it kind of makes you think, you might have different things going in the mind, but trying to sum it into one word, get those in there. It could be a double barrel word if you're going to be cheeky. So you can get those in there into the chat. And we've got some nice questions again, more coming through, which is good. So we have got Ahmed, who said, how do you deal with clients with bad ideas? It's such a pain sometimes. Smiley face emoji.
Yeah, so that's another reason that I try to get the creative direction approved prior. And so we will have a consultation call where we'll talk about their ideas and if they have any like specific wants or needs. And then during that creative direction, I can kind of take that and refine it a little bit and make those suggestions for maybe a different direction or idea. And then sometimes when they see it in that light, they'll be kind of like, okay, yeah, that makes a little bit more sense. You're right. And then kind of go from there. But I think we mentioned this yesterday too. It's like, you can give your suggestions and they can choose not to take it, and that's okay. It's their choice. So
it's the nature of our business, isn't it? As well as a creative, it's I feel like even as a freelancer or a business owner, there's various hats you have to kind of wear, whether it's negotiation or patience or just underandstanding. Which again, the more projects you do, the better you have an understanding of yourself and how to work with others as well. But yeah, that was a great question, Ahmed. Thank you for getting in there. And we've got a good one actually from Kater, and it's kind of relates a bit. Yesterday we spoke about your education, Hayley, in terms of how you started out. But this is directly from his perspective. So he said, how do you feel about designers that are not school trained, whether it's Skillshare or Domestika? Don't know that one, but it sounds cool. Or YouTube, again, like tutorials. What's your kind of thoughts on that? Did you have to
I don't think that you need to go to design school. I think there's fundamentals that you need to learn, and you don't have to take a class at a university to learn that. Whatever route you take to learn the skills I don't think it matters too much. I think it really comes down to practice, and then trying to get used to getting feedback, or try to find a community where you can get critiques and feedback on your work. I think that's important. That is a big part of design school that I think is painful in the moment, but is beneficial because it prepares you to work with clients, but then also understand how to refine your work and make it the best that it can be. So just making sure that you're able to find that somewhere else if you don't do it in design school, but I don't think that there's anything wrong. I've done a lot of like I said, online courses and learning outside of what I got my degree in, and every day learning more and more. So it's not all about the degree. Yeah. Indeed.
That's a great question. I mean, again, for those in the chat, what's good to know what everyone else's thoughts on that is, because that's always a good one. It's, again, with Adobe Live, we have various programs you can work and you can learn from. But again, do you feel, some people might feel like you have to go to uni or even, some form of education to get that experience? I mean, from my perspective, I always feel there's certain things, for example, in university, if you go to uni, that allows you, for example, collaborate with other people in your space. You might not have that if you are maybe, say, learning via a screen. So there's a lot of pros, but also cons. And I think, like, you made a really good point, Hayley, as well. It's the idea of just, putting things into practice and just actually doing things. And that's probably the best way of learning, just putting things into practice. So yeah, get those kind of questions in there, or find ways, how you kind of operate, or even if you've gone from even education, you've maybe even changed courses, depending on site design. We'd love to hear it. To get those in there.
And go ahead.
No, go for it, please.
I forget what I was going to say about, I forget. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I was laughing because of it's a good one actually, but this is a tricky one. I think there's what's I'm looking for, a pattern with this whole one word or one thing to do today, but it's good because it narrows things down. So Christine said, this question is for both Hayley and myself. If you could follow only one designer on social media, can you imagine that? Which designer would it be? Just one designer, forever seeing their feed and no one else's. Is there one designer, Hayley, that you would only ever follow?
Yeah, I love Amber Say from Nice People. I think it's Nice People Co. or just Nice People is the name of her studio. I just love her work. I think it's really, she's the designer who designed the Poosh logo. Poosh is Kourtney Kardashian's blog. Yeah, I just really love her work. So
nice.
What about you?
Oh, the pressure is up. Do you know what mine is? He's I should get this right. It was Austrian, or he's an Austrian designer. I think it is. Stefan Sagmeister, who he's. Again, if anyone's seen his work, it's that kind of outlandish style of work, but I think it's more, he just does what he feels. And he's got his Sagmeister and Walsh as well, sort of studio. But again, his work is just, whether it's exhibitions he's putting on or magazines or print or branding, it's just outlandish. And I think if I was to have only one person I could follow on social media, just to keep my mind afresh, to refresh every day and see different things like that popping up, I'm good for it. I don't think there's a lot more designers, but I don't think I could just sit with just one style every single day. It needs to be, fresh. So that'll be my $1 million one designer if I could do it. But again, get any questions, your thoughts, guys, in the chat. If there's any one designer you could follow, it might even be Hayley. Who's the designer that you would like to follow? It's a great question, actually, Kristen. Thanks for that one.
Yeah, I feel like I kind of go through phases too of following a lot of designers and then feeling too influenced by others, or wanting to just get a fresh perspective, and then deciding to unfollow people, not because I don't like them, but just how you can mute people just to get like I said, just to switch it up a little bit.
Definitely. Yeah. Gotta do. I mean, I actually should have said Voodoo Val. Actually, he's in the chat. So her work is pretty amazing. So I'm not just saying that for brownie points, but again, if you guys might have seen other Adobe Lives, Voodoo Val's an amazing illustrator. So again, check her stuff out. But that could have been maybe my second person I would have followed. There we go. But yeah, get yours in the chat. It'd be good to hear. Yeah. So what are we looking at now? It's looking good. This kind of pattern you've got working.
Yeah, just trying to make a pattern that could be on a tissue paper, but it's so finicky, as all designers know, it's all about the fine details. But I think what I'm trying to do is get this so that it's every other. Maybe if I go up like this. I think I just cracked the code.
glitch in the matrix.
Yeah, let's see. There. Nope.
Good.
There. I was trying to get it to alternate, but then not be stacked. Does that work? I used to stare at something for too long.
Oh yeah, it's very easy to
working.
Designer eyes, then the head tilt pops in as well, and then you're locked in. The comments as well, the chat is great, so we can. It's actually quite refreshing. So Aileen said that she's second Sagmeister as well. So cool, I'm not the only one in that boat, which is nice.
Awesome.
And we've got Kristen who said both are designers. You just said Hayley. She's kind of gone out her way now to follow. So we've got some people already following the designers we've said. And of course, just on that, definitely follow Hayley as well, because her work is amazing. So that's another person you can follow. Keep those comments coming in, guys, and I will share them directly with Hayley.
Okay, I think I'm spending too much time on this. It's driving me mad.
It's easy though, isn't it? Just then, lock screen.
All right. So these mock-ups can be, so like I said, so time consuming. Sometimes they can take longer than creating the brand, because it's just so much to go in all the layers and then get it just right and then like go back and change it. And
it's an interesting point. Have you ever found when you download the mock-up, it's like, it feels like it ticks all the boxes and it's great. And you go into it, it's either a different file type that it should be because it's renamed weird, or like you said, the layers it's like looking through a needle in a haystack. I don't know if you can.
Yes.
It's just like, it looked great, but it's not really that.
Yeah. Or like for certain, sometimes there'll be boxes that like if I'm doing like a mailing box for packaging or something, like every edge of the box, like you can go in and edit. And it takes forever. So
reminds me of I don't know if you're gonna geek out now, but there's a meme where if you find like a PNG, say for example on Google or whatever, and you download it, but it's not actually a PNG, and it's basically just like the black and white sort of checkered square, which it's cheeky when they do that. I'm sure other designers can relate to that pain. So Jazz has just said, could you mention again the designers who we just mentioned before as the one designer, because I feel like they would like to find out. Who was your designer again, Hayley?
Amber Asay. I think it's so Amber, and then Asay is spelled ASAY, and her studio is Nice People.
Nice. No pun intended, just because I said nice. And then mine was Stefan Sagmeister. So but they're both very, very different creators, but again, it's nice to kind of be inspired by the different variety out there. So and again, put your suggestions in there for people that you may follow design. It'd be great to know what everyone's kind of feeling. We've got a good question here. This one's a bit about your balance of design life, but also family as well. So Corinne has said, how do you balance running a business and family?
Great question. It definitely has taken a lot of trial and error. I started my business when my youngest was 2. So that's when I started like freelancing on the side. And then when my daughter was born is when I left my full-time job to be a full-time business owner. And so it resulted in a lot of late nights and just kind of working whenever they napped, which isn't ideal. But it just kind of was necessary for me to be able to get to this point. And now I feel like I'm in a good space where I'm able to, give myself, I think like, it's like one thing to give clients boundaries, but then also like implement those boundaries myself. And so, like not actually working on the weekends or, not having to work at night. I think it just takes a lot of practice in finding what works best for you and your family and your flow. And then just also like being kind to yourself because like it's really hard. Like there's no easy way to do it. And I don't think that I don't think balance is like a thing. Like I think it's just it's going to be hard no matter what. And being kind to yourself and like reminding yourself that that you are doing a good job. So
very good point. And that's lovely again for even those in the chat, if you potentially, if you've got young kids or you've got, everyone's got different work life or even just life in general situations. So it's kind of how you have that balance or how you kind of work around it. So it's great to kind of get those questions in there as well, because it's more about you as an individual as well, rather than just the skill set, which I think those questions are just as important, I always find, because people want to know about you, Hayley, as an individual, not just the skills. So yeah, that was a really great question. Get those definitely coming in. And again, if perhaps, with your life, Corinne, as well, get those comments in there, how do you sort of find, depending on your situation, work-life balance as well. It's good to know everyone else's thoughts on it, because everyone's got different ways of operating and navigating through the world. So yeah, sharing is caring. Get those in there. We've got Chris. Actually, I should have asked this before because I feel like he's mentioned it a few times. We haven't touched on it. He's loving your mockups, Hayley, but he's asked, where did you get them from? Are they free or did you pay?
Yeah, there's a variety. So this particular one is from No Issue. They're like a printing company, and you can, actually, no, this one's not. This is from Creative Market. So it's a paid one. And then Moyo Studio, Moyo. They have really great mockups for designers that I like to use a lot. And then, yeah, sometimes you can find free ones. Like I think it's called Mockup World. They have free or paid, depending on like what type of mockup you use. So yeah, typically they're paid. And then I just have like a library that I pull from.
Nice.
And yeah,
it's some good resources you just you've linked, and of course it'll be terrible to mention, of course, Adobe stock as well. We've got, because there's a lot of good selections on there too, and that's a nice little plug. But it is true, because again, it's nice, and you can do some previews as well, and you can try them out before you buy, and definitely get exploring. And yeah, mockups they do sell it to the client as well. Obviously, you have a rationale as to, and I think you touched on this before at the beginning, but rather than just plucking any mockup, you have a reason why you've selected that particular one, and you kind of given them a rationale. But yeah, when the client can actually see it in context, it's a whole different ball game. I find as well. These look great, Hayley, by the way. Really, really nice coming together.
Thanks. Yeah, I think I would probably try to explore the logo as the pattern, but I didn't want to spend too much time, because like I said, I think I could just spend a couple hours trying to get that right. I don't want to do that to you guys. So for now, we'll do this, and then we can come back and update as needed, if needed.
Got a solid, there's a solid collection already growing, and it's actually quite nice to sort of lean out. I'd say about half an hour until we have our artist spotlight, and it's a good time to sort of say now, if you maybe just joined in, it's about an hour into the stream already, which is crazy how time's flying by. But if you've just joined, massive welcome. And what you're looking at right now is Hayley Feathers from Studio Seaside, and she's a graphic designer who's currently in the process of creating a brand refresh. So yeah, massive welcome. And right now you can still see her going through Photoshop, Illustrator, and sort of using the two between and creating a few designs on different mockups. So yeah, get those questions in, and I can feed it to Hayley just before we have our artist spotlight, which again is a great one. So definitely stay tuned for that one, because you don't want to miss it.
Yeah, I'm excited. I know it's crazy how fast it goes. Spent too much time on that little pattern. Got to get it done.
It's okay. You can. In the Adobe hemisphere, things go a lot quicker than it should. So I feel like you're in a good place to. And plus, we're having a good discussion as well, and chat about your process. So it's totally okay. It's okay to spend a bit of time. And we've got a question from Tyler, who said, do you normally help your clients source print vendors for your projects? I guess it's that aftermath, and you've then done your designs.
Yeah, it depends. it kind of depends like where they're at. Like if they're doing large scale packaging or like right now I have a client that they have bottles, they have boxes, they have tissue, like I have a lot of different vendors and manufacturers and just a lot of moving pieces. And I think it's better for them to source and have a contact with like the salesperson there, because ultimately they're going to have to know all of that anyways. So for larger scale projects, usually I'll have them source and get in touch. And then for smaller scale, I'll suggest vendors, or like I have like some like moo.com is where you can get business cards and stuff made. Like you can resell through them. So like, for example, I'll order the business cards for the client through them, and then you get like a little bit of money back.
Nice. It's nice to have as well, like if you, so I mean, in my line of work as well, I work quite heavily with publishers and printers. It's when you kind of have a nice relationship with, say, ones you kind of go back to on a, you know, on a level as well. It's nice to kind of have that relationship, because you can kind of, you know, tap into that. And again, within this line of work, if something goes wrong or something slips through your cracks, they're more inclined to me, you know, give you a heads up, which is nice, because you've got that. I mean, I should do it anyway, because it's the nice thing to do. But then if you've got a good relationship, then, you know, it's nice because they might flag it. So yeah, that was a great question to feed to the chat. So thanks for that one.
Okay. We could ask people if they have ideas for what to put in the box. Sometimes we do like a brand message or something, but I don't have that. So I guess we could do like, do we want the logo here on the inside or on the front? Or even on the bottom? Yeah,
we get those questions in there. So where, I mean, from the box you can see now on the screen, where would you position the logo? Are you thinking maybe the inside or on the base of it? You know, get those comments in. What I'll do is I'll feed that into you, Hayley, once that comes in. But they might even want a pattern, who knows? Because it's looking nice from the inside, like an inside pattern maybe.
It'd be fun.
That could be quite cool.
Or like a pattern on the bottom, and then the primary logo on the top, maybe.
Exactly.
Something like that. Yeah. Let's see.
We've got Jen who said inside lid already. So on it. I guess it's quite nice when you open it as well. It's kind of the first thing you know you would see in terms of how, you know, how your eyes kind of navigate through. Yeah, that could be quite cool. Savvy said pattern on the bottom and logo on top. That's a good suggestion as well. Get those in.
Fun. All right, let's try it.
And also just feeding on from my wonderful Voodoo Val, who just mentioned in the comment, as we're about half an hour or so before we have our artist spotlight. Again, you can see on the tab, if you're, you know, viewing via Behance, there's an artist spotlight tab. So again, there's an opportunity to be featured or to share someone you think would be great to kind of, you know, definitely celebrate their work. So click on that tab and definitely follow through, and hopefully you might be featured within our next artist spotlight. So yeah, get featuring, and you can see the tab as well, like I said in the chat. So yeah, get shared, and within half an hour or so, we've got a good one to share with you guys. So stay tuned.
Okay. Yeah, that's fun.
Great.
I like it.
Yeah, I like that. Really nice.
And then maybe I feel like we could do something down here. Maybe I'll put the brand icon at the bottom, just to balance it out a little bit.
Do they have like social media handles, or I guess like website? I guess maybe that would be on the outside, but
yeah.
Do you feel like just throwing ideas? Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Let's see. Let's do. Let's do this guy.
It's just a question for Jen. So she missed the first part of the talk. So she's asked where the product mockups from, and I'm right in saying they'll go from a range of different places. Is that right? That you said, Hayley, that you tend to sort of source. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All over, and then and then I'll save them and have I have like a folder in on my computer that I can pull from. Yeah.
we've got an experience from Chris, and it's actually on that topic of, you know, kind of having a best friend basically at the printer, more or less. And he said, Mood did the same awesome customer service for me when the order was not correct. They sent them overnight and I had them for a conference. So again, that's like a bit of a mini win when you've kind of got that opportunity to get it back in just in time before you've got something super important like a conference. So yeah, share those stories of that gulp moments.
Yeah, I found, and I try to use local printers if possible, but like if I'm shipping to a client, you know, across the country or even the world, it's easier to use like a national brand that will let you kind of ship easier. So, okay, getting there.
Good.
So we have website mockup, brand pattern over here. I might end up switching out this pattern to something else because we kind of have it repeated quite a bit. But we'll do a hang tag and then keep going. Yeah.
Looking good. I think you mentioned yesterday as well. The client was were they streaming? Were they watching as well? I don't
know. I think so. I gave her the link.
Nice.
So yeah, we'll see. It might be fun to use this actually. Yeah, we'll see if she catches it at all.
Yeah. Well, she's in the chat. Definitely say hi or buy emoji if you don't want to be, you know, to show yourself too much. But yeah, it'd be great to know. And I mean, all the comments that are coming in, they're all positive. So it's great. So yeah, good vibes all around.
Great. Yeah, I know. And I think what I'll do is I'll end up, I'll definitely like share the final once it's complete. Cause like, I know that I'll have quite a bit more time to spend on getting this just right. So if anybody's interested, I'll eventually share the project on my Instagram just for everybody to see the final.
Oh, that's looking cool. Nice.
Let's see, what kind of info would you put on a hang tag for jewelry? I guess you'd put the care instructions maybe.
Thinking is if like, I'm trying to think of those big hoop earrings that that we had up, which are pretty sweet. You know what? I actually don't really purchase that much jewelry. I feel like I should maybe. My partner, she was next door. I could probably get her in and she could probably feed some comments. But I mean, I don't really. Are you a jewelry person? Do you have like a strong collection of?
Yeah, I definitely. I like earrings and earrings and what's going on? Bracelets and rings for sure. I like all that stuff. Yeah.
I feel like when I was young, I used to rock a few chains, trying to be like Don King, but those days have long gone. But yeah, no, I'm down for a good chat. And to be fair, what we've seen as well from the website mock-up, they look great. So yeah, I might be influenced to purchase one of these for my partner.
Get some of that affordable Zillenial jewelry.
Exactly. It doesn't have to be a Zillenial to appreciate it. That's what's great about it. You can just it's all good. And the comments are coming in really lovely. So we've got Tyler, you said this looks awesome, Hayley. It's like you're a pro or something. I think she is a pro, so they're definitely looking good.
Awesome. It's nice to hear. I know it's definitely feel the pressure a little bit trying to get I feel like I'm speed designing, trying to get everything in here so you guys can at least see it come together a little bit because it takes a bit of time.
Time always goes fast though. And again, you mentioned the beauty as well, where even when we get to that point, if you're still working that they can follow up via your social media, so they can definitely see the final thing. So if it's done, amazing. If not, then there's always the plan B, which they can go on your social media, which is also a nice way to engage. That's all good.
Yeah, and feel free to pop in and say hi on social, guys. I always like to connect over there. So Yeah, definitely shoot me a message and say howdy.
On that topic of going back to jewelry and the kind of styles, so Voodoo Val said, so I love the jewelry, but hers is all a bit weird. My jewelry box looks like a witch cabinet. I know you're into that sort of stuff, which is cool. So yeah, whatever floats your boat. But yeah, kind of styles. Again, what kind of styles of jewelry you guys rocking these days? If it's Zillenial style or whatever, just get those in the chat. We can share them.
All right, one extra little guy down here.
Was that Lauren Epsom? Was that actual copy? Or was that Lauren?
No, like the headline is, but I've just pulled Lauren Epsom in for the copy.
Like that's our friend Lauren Epsom.
Yeah.
Again, for anyone who doesn't really, it might sound like what on earth is Lauren Epsom. So again, it's just kind of dummy copy that I feel like a lot of designers, including myself, we kind of use that when if maybe content is being written up or in the process, you can kind of get some dummy copy which is provided on the platforms, and that kind of allows the clients to kind of see maybe things in context, how text would potentially look. So yeah, Lauren Epsom is definitely our friend if content's not given just yet.
Yeah,
I always find.
And I like how with some of the newer Adobe updates, when you pull the text box out, like it'll populate automatically with it. Yeah. So makes things easy too. So because I used to have to go to the website and pull it out. So yeah, it makes it easy.
Do you ever find, I'm very geek out now, but like I remember those days as well where you had to kind of copy and paste it via the website, but I even almost know what the Lauren Epsom type, even though it's obviously dummy copy, well, it's Latin, isn't it? I think it is, but it's, I actually know now by default some of the actual wording of it. So like I can almost type, not obviously fully fledged paragraphs, but I almost know if I want a quick title, maybe five letters, maybe, or 5 words, just by default. That means I spend a lot of time on computer. But yeah, it's all good.
All right. I think I'm gonna do green background instead because this purple is too much.
Good.
And then we're getting close. And then from there, it would be like typesetting and formatting the everything on the document. So, because when I present the brand identity to the client, I will design the presentation in the style of the new brand identity. So it takes quite a bit of time. And so I'll format that in InDesign, and then it makes it really easy to then basically just turn that presentation into the style guide. So then I'll take all the paragraph styles and the colors and the fonts and just move it over to the style guide just to save time.
Nice. I mean, you're blitzing. I mean, you're absolutely like smashing. And Chris made a good point. I think we touched on this even before we came on our live about the balance of when you're designing live and answering questions. And Chris, and I definitely echo that, said Hayley is definitely a pro. She's designing and in big capital letters, answering questions at the same time, which is a skill in itself. So, I mean, this is amazing what you're doing and you know, answering the questions from our lovely audience. So, yeah, it's looking good.
Yeah, keep them coming. I'm happy to answer them. I know, like, have you ever heard of those like co-working spaces, like online co-working spaces? I haven't never done it, but it sounds interesting. It's kind of like that, you know, it's like distracts you enough to get your work done.
No, definitely. I mean, I always I've got an office where I'm based, but I almost sometimes have to be maybe in the same room. My partner's doing a PhD, so I'll be in the same room as her. We won't be talking, but it's just having someone in that room, just so it kind of keeps me afloat. So I'm working and not maybe going on BBC Sport or whatever, and just refreshing, kind of keeps my brain afloat. So yeah, definitely echo that.
Okay, so I think what we might do here is a business card, because I think we have a lot of that pattern. I don't think we need so much of it. So we'll do a quick business card.
Also, I mean, I wouldn't be a good host if I didn't say one of the quotes of the day, I should say, a bit of a joke from Gareth, which is quite an interesting one, funny one. I'm thinking of changing my surname to Ipsum. So if I have a daughter, I can call her Lauren. I mean, yeah, that's the
You know what? I honestly, I
jokes.
wouldn't be surprised if like someone is actually done
Someone's
that.
done that. We go on LinkedIn and type in Lauren Epsom and see pops
Yeah.
up Mr. Epsom. Yeah, that'd be quite jokes. Thanks, Gareth, for that one. Keep those. I mean, I'm a sucker for design puns and jokes, so it's not wasted on me. So definitely get those in, and I'll definitely read those. We've got some questions related to design, not just all jokes. We've got two actually. So we've got one from Deb, who said, "Do you create the brand style guide based on a template or customize the design of the guide of each project?"
Yeah, so I have a base template that I use that I'll start the guide with, that has like all of the language that we use to talk about, and basically we can just input the brand name, and so we'll definitely use a template as a base, and then we'll go in and edit the style to make it match the brand identity that we are creating. Yeah, that, I mean, it's like, that is very time consuming. The style guide is like a whole, 30-page document that has to be formatted. So it's
another 2-day, I think, Adobe live stream, perhaps.
Yeah. Jeez.
Minimum.
Yeah. So
cool.
Yeah.
And just on that, actually, I'll say it's about 15 minutes until we have our artist spotlight, which is exciting. And like I said, we've got a really good one. So definitely stay tuned because you don't want to miss that one out. And yeah, so 15 minutes until we get into that. And whilst we're doing that, again, we've got some good questions coming in, which are great. And we've got a lovely one from Olivia, who said, "Hi, Hayley, looking forward to taking your brand process savvy course. Any other brand identity focused online courses you could recommend?"
Yeah, there's tons. I haven't taken all of them, but I know, like, I think I mentioned this yesterday. I feel like I follow people that have courses and I like to like recommend and cheer on, but I've heard Branding with Bree is really good. That's Rowan Made is the creator of that one. And let's see, I know that, now I'm blanking on her name, but gosh, what is her name? Lydia Kerr. She has, from Telltale Design, she has a branding course that I've heard is good. And what else? The Brand Stylist, she has books and online courses. She has like actually, if you're new to branding, she has a course that you can take, and then basically she gives you a bunch of creative briefs, and then we'll critique your designs. So this might be good for somebody who maybe didn't go to design school and like needs to get that feedback for learning how to refine their process and their designs. Her name is Fiona Humblestone. I think I'm saying that right. And the Brand Stylist is her company, and she has some great courses. So yeah, hopefully that can get you started.
Good resources,
and then my course, Brand Process Savvy, helps you, get your brand process. And then I have all these templates that I use that you're seeing. We have, and then talking about, branding itself, and then also client communication, pricing, all that fun stuff. So.
Awesome. I feel like, again, it's great to sort of see, your design process, and knowing you got a course that you can kind of follow up on. I mean, that's great for our audience to kind of see you, first-hand designing it, talk about your process, and then obviously they can follow up and do a course. So it's really, really cool that you're doing these things. And we've got Voodoo Val who's just dropping links as well into our chat, so they can kind of follow up with the resources and the courses. So yeah, definitely get going. And we've got a question from Chris. I think Chris was actually was on Adobe Live actually not long ago. So hi, Chris. Hope you're good. So he said, "Do you get much pushbacks from clients when you tell them your pitch only?" Let's start again. Do you get much pushback from clients when you tell them you pitch only one concept?
No, I do not, and that's because I'm very. I make sure to communicate it very clearly from the beginning. So it's on my website. I talk about it in the sales call. It's in my contract and my proposal. So they are pretty aware that that's our process and what works best for us. So if they are not okay with that, then typically they probably wouldn't reach out. But I have found that people come to me like specifically because I talk a lot about my process on TikTok and on Instagram, and people people will seek me out specifically because I use that method and I talk about it. And I think clients like it better. It leaves the decision making up to the creative expert, and they can trust you, and they're investing a significant amount of money, so they want to use somebody who knows what they're doing. And if you are positioning yourself as that creative expert, then people can trust you. So.
No, I mean, you hit the nail on the head with that keyword. I mean, trust. I think that's a key kind of factor where they come back to you, and or even if they're kind of new to you, they might have seen work you've done from previous people, and I think it's that element they know you can do a good job on that. I think that's for any creative really, where you've got that element of they trust in that process, and I feel like as a result you can kind of do your best work. So it's always tricky because you're kind of navigating, especially when it's a new client and they might not know you. But it's very much try and error, but I think trust is always a key factor from the get-go. So yeah, I totally echo what you were saying. And we've got a question from Tyler Riggs, and this is a good one actually, because it kind of feeds in quite nicely to some of the Adobe Lives which you could be watching. So good afternoon, you're doing a great job. You're doing great, that's great. What are your recommendations on learning all of Adobe applications? Is there an order for someone who is just starting out?
Good question. I think it probably would depend on the direction that you want to go, but I would say I really can only speak to how I learned, but I think I did Illustrator. Well, actually, I think I started in Photoshop, like designers. It's like the one that you associate most with design, but in fact, I think Illustrator probably is the one that you want to focus on if you're interested in graphic design and creating brand identities, because that's what you will end up using the most. So yeah, Illustrator, and then InDesign, and then Photoshop would be my recommendation. And I think as far as like going about learning, I mean, I think even Adobe has like so many free resources or courses that you can take to learn all that stuff. It seems like, yeah.
100%. I mean, it'll be blasphemy on my part not to flag that, but I mean, there's a lot of content, and again, we kind of mentioned before with Adobe Live, and again, if you're new to this, a massive welcome. But you'll see there's a lot of tutorials and challenges that you can kind of watch and kind of sharpen your skills on that. And again, if you're just starting out, this is the perfect place, because it might seem a bit daunting maybe going on YouTube tutorials, but when you've got Adobe Live and sort of programs, you can actually start from beginner level and kind of go through each course and actually put things to practice. So yeah, if you're just starting out, I mean, these are the kind of places where you want to be and watch these kind of lives and be inspired. And again, Behance as a platform as well, that's a cool platform, because again, you can follow other creatives and see other designers firsthand, and just reach out and say, you're digging their work. You'd be surprised how a lot of creators will actually, love to hear that. I think just response on their work and your perspective on it. So yeah, don't be shy on that front. Definitely to reach out to other creatives. I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And we talked about this yesterday, but just like building community is so important, especially in such an online world. Finding like your community of designers or like-minded creatives is just so beneficial and crucial.
I'm liking the what you're working on there. That business guy, Jane Smith as well. Like, I love the that's a strong name. So yeah, looking good. Looking good.
I think
I thought you were going for Lauren Epsom, but
I'll put yeah, there we go. Eventually I'll put her name in, but I don't know if she wants everybody to know her name. So
she's like Jane Ipsum, but okay, yeah. that's my Lauren Ipsum jokes done for the day. And actually on that topic, we're about 7 or so minutes before we go into our artist spotlight. So yeah, I know we've got our countdown placed below us, so definitely keep an eye on that. And then when we do that, it's a good one. So definitely stay tuned for that, because that's coming up very, very shortly.
Great. Okay, so I think we can start taking a look at where we're at. And like I said, I don't know if we'll get done today, but we can, I'll post it to Instagram so everybody can kind of see what the final result is once it launches. But for now, it is coming together.
Looking good. I remember actually on that topic of mockups, I haven't got too much of a piece, but I was doing a sort of portfolio review, and I've seen some graduates' portfolios where some of them actually create their own mockups. So they might take a photograph of a book, or they've gone somewhere and actually staged, even a good example is a billboard actually. So they wanted to get a billboard in a certain location. So took a photograph, and then you can just obviously add a, clipping mask via Photoshop. But I think that's quite cool, because I guess it's so easy to find any mock-up you want in the world online, but actually just going out, taking a camera and maybe doing it old school is quite a nice way of, if you want something in particular as well, that's also another alternative route.
Yeah, and then you own the copyright too, and don't run into those issues. Yeah, I remember my design teachers would always like make us do everything original, which is a good habit to get into. But I think that now like there's more quality stock assets that you can use compared to when I was in school back in the day.
Zillenials. It's okay. No, it's very true. It's very true. And I know Behance again Behance is great because again, you've got creatives, actively producing work and uploading, very frequently. And some of them have mockups as well. So you can actually, download the mockups, and as long as you read the terms and conditions, you can use it, or whether it's for personal or commercial. But obviously read those terms and conditions, that's very important. But yeah, at least you have the opportunity to actually download things, and it's going to be legit, rather than going on Google and sometimes you can get with some dodgy mock-ups when you and I've been guilty of it. I've downloaded it's not actually a proper mock-up, or it's just like a error file type. They're never fun to get, but yeah, it happens. We've got some again nice comments. So Tyler said, this entire process is exactly what I want to do, so thank you for doing this, Hayley.
Awesome.
So, that's a lovely comment to see.
That's cool. It's a lot of fun. I feel very lucky that I get to do it. And, I think I said this yesterday, but it's like, I thought for a long time that you couldn't be creative and actually make a living, but you absolutely can. And you can work for yourself and make a living, and not, I think the starving artist stereotype is outdated. So, very, very true.
Very, very true. And I think as well, even like, so after lockdown for different places, and people have had more time to kind of be at home potentially as well, it's the opportunity you can work abroad as well, and collaborate with a lot more create. I know in my own personal line of work, I'm doing a lot of stuff in the US, and I've only been out there once, but again, it's nice because you have the miracles of Zoom and Google Hangout, and you can kind of, connect quite easily. So again, if you're perhaps watching the streams and we're just starting out and you kind of want that, I guess that next step, or maybe do I go freelance, do I not? And hopefully these kind of streams give you a bit of confidence in thinking, I can build my skill up and, create a team, a bit like what Hayley's done as well. So hopefully that helps.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so I think we're getting close. We have the mock-ups. There's definitely some fine tuning that I would want to do. Like even though the contrast is low, I really like the pink on top of the purple. So I might even bring that over here and make this purple lighter. I also try to be really aware of people who are vision impaired. They need high contrast to be able to see the actual design. So there are programs that you can use. You can input the color in and make sure that the contrast is great enough for people, so that you want to create designs that are accessible to everyone. So I would double check on that, but I do really like this pink on the purple. So I think I might try that in here. And then in here, I think, staying consistent with maybe making the primary logo a little bit darker so that it feels like it matches that dark green. And then, I think it's coming together. And then we can go over this document again. Right. But essentially this is like what's sent to the client for them to approve. We have that brand identity is made up of your core values, your position statement, and your ideal client. And then this will get formatted. Each page will get formatted within the new brand style. And then I will present it to the client in real time. So this is kind of fun to look back to. So this is the original mood board that we sent the client that was the original brief. And then coming back and kind of seeing, like, does it match? Like, is there anything that needs to be changed? So I think the colors are a little bit brighter than what we sent. So, perhaps making sure that, looking back in my notes and making sure that she didn't say anything about bright colors.
Yeah.
Because we'd have to change that. But I think because like the clientele is young and youthful, I think the fresh, bright colors, I think it works.
I agree.
So yeah, she wanted a modern, sleek design, green paired with a soft pink, a unique brand mark. We have that feminine design. So I think it's looking like it's in a good spot. And yeah.
It's looking sharp. I was going to say, just before we get into, we're literally on the cusp now, about to go straight into our artist spotlight, but just touching on what you said, a really key point about the accessibility, because I don't think we touched on that much with branding, but that's so important, especially maybe if in the chat, if it's perhaps you might have difficulty with colors or reading certain fonts or text. That's so important with branding, right? To kind of make sure that it's open and it's accessible to kind of all, which a lot of brands might not necessarily think of that as a first reaction. So that was a really good point that you flagged in there.
Yeah, and even in not just branding, but web design also, really important to make sites that are accessible for all. Yeah,
definitely. And on that topic, I mean, now I feel like we've kept everyone on tenterhooks with the artist spotlight, but I feel like we can definitely sort of jump straight into the artist spotlight. We have a really, really good one.
Awesome. Yeah. So I have chosen Bess in Studio. She is, her name is Beth, and she's a designer based in Canada, brand designer also. I think she's fairly new to freelancing, but I just really love the overall style. Like it's a very unique style that she has, or like unique to her, but also kind of like, I love when designers can like niche down their style. And I think she's done a really good job of that with very typography driven. Like this is all fonts. And I like her, again, like the choice of typography and like even just having it cropped like this. You can get a sense of the whole design and you can't even see it all. And again, it's all typography driven. And as designers, we all love typography. And I like, great. Yeah. And I like in her, like, this is the before. I like in her Instagram, she does like a lot of education and then like a lot of before and afters. You can really see the transformation that she did here. So yeah,
it looks great. I mean, that I was going to say, that one's beautiful. Actually, there's one that really struck to me on the feed that I saw. But that one's just as beautiful. If you scroll up a little bit more, I think it's on the sort of left panel, far left on the second row. So on the second row, that one, yeah, that was great because that looks like it's on the mock-up, but it's that sort of textured feeling which looks really, really beautiful. I love what she's done there with the font.
Yeah, and like again, it's all typography. It's not, I think it takes a certain strength to like just create a type-driven brand or design and do it well. Like I think we can easily get drawn to doing all the bells and whistles and like all the different fonts and everything. But you can see here, like she paired the script font really beautifully with. I think she has this 4 different fonts going on, but it doesn't feel overwhelming. I think it's and then her choice of color is really great too.
And even and like sorry, I'll go for it.
Oh, I was just gonna say like her overall she has a great sense of like what her style and like creative direction is, and I think she does a really good job of portraying that on her Instagram, because it's one thing that I tell a lot of designers is like you really have to put out like the style and the type of jobs that you want to be attracting. So it's like, if you don't want to do annual reports, then don't show that on your Instagram. If you want to do brand identity and websites, then like just show that and only show the style that you want to be doing. And I think she does a really good job of that. Definitely.
And I think as well, what's quite nice is that I can see her spacing her, the way she's kind of got the hierarchy. I mean, that's always a key point with branding, and you've got a lot of things happening on one page where, it's how your eye kind of reads things at the levels. And I think even going back a few where she had the tag in, I think just having the text sort of in a lockup box, that in itself kind of just differentiates between the two. And I think, that one there, we got the text on the bottom, bottom left. It's little elements like that which kind of just really bring it together. It's looking really, really fresh.
Yeah, and this looks like it was just like a conceptual project too. The brief club, it looks like they probably give you briefs for design projects. And if you're just starting out, conceptual projects are such a great way to be able to like hone in on your style and then also build your portfolio and be able to show work in, like, if you don't have a big portfolio yet, then doing conceptual projects are a really great way to do that. Like this is really pretty. I love the texture over. Again, it's like simple and like you just get a really good idea of her style and overall creative
and the
direction.
choice of photography as well. I think that, because that's always another, it's one thing to have a nice color palette, the fonts, but then it's, you know, making sure you have the right imagery to kind of really you know, complement what you're trying to sell as a whole. I think she's got the whole mood great. I mean, that dog in the middle is adorable too. That also helps as well. Even that photography style is like got like a nice filter. A dog in a sweater. What more do you need?
And just like amazing. The overall, but it feeds into like it's still giving that feeling of her overall mood and creative direction for the brand. It really fits well together. This is Beth here. And yeah, and let's see, there was another one down here that I really liked.
And whilst we're still browsing through that, I just, you know, just as a nice reminder for those in the chat, you know, these are, you know, obviously this is an artist spotlight. So right now we're kind of, you know, really paying homage to some amazing work. And if you'd like to be featured yourself, you know, definitely submit your recommendations for creatives you'd like to highlight for our next artist spotlight. The tab's in the chat, so definitely get submitting. And then yeah, this is great what we're looking at now. I love that one.
Yeah, like the you know, it's a reminder that all of the elements are important, you know, and like to be very intentional about what you're designing, but like the photographic choice, the placement of the typography in that stream of light in the image, and then the hierarchy of the text all like plays really well together to create this design that works really well.
I like as well that I mean, I can't obviously read it because it's obviously small screen, and that's why you can definitely follow for anyone. But I think it's nice because she's got a real rationale behind the visual that you're seeing. So like, it's almost like a narrative. I imagine it's like a narrative behind what the visuals are. So I mean, that's another reason why you guys should go out and follow her. So just to kind of really get a good feel. But yeah, I mean, we can check maybe a few more for like 5 minutes or so, and then we can. It's looking really good. And
then even like when she's I think here she's advertising her testimonials. So these are like testimonials from clients, and she's like done it in a really creative way that still matches like the feeling and overall vibe of her Instagram. So yeah, I think it's, and then like typography, like it's a lot of typography, which I love. You know, you don't have to be a whiz in Illustrator and create all of these like unique custom icons. You can still create brands or designs that are standing out and beautiful with just typography. And so yeah, it's really fun.
Just on that as well, I don't know if it's my eyes playing tricks with me, but there's like a sort of faint texture on like a tissue paper. Yeah, I love when I get those kind of designs where you've got like it's the small little attention to detail, which I think is really, really nice on that.
Yeah, I agree. And it kind of just takes it out of it makes it feel a little bit more tactile and like out of the screen a little bit.
Definitely.
And like even here, there's more paper texture here. And then
I'm a sucker for mock-up paper textures. I'm just gonna put that out there like that. I feel like that can really make a design just, when you mention it, just feels more, I don't know, tactile, right? There's no other word to describe it, but just kind of brings it to life. There was one square, I mean, I really want to see that. It's the B, I think it was just underneath. That one looks really nice.
Yeah,
it was like laser
so
cut,
simple.
But,
yeah,
that's great.
I'm not sure if this is a custom like element that she added, but it's really, you know, or it comes with the font, but it's a really beautiful way and then just like so simple, just like a emboss or letterpress, whatever the technique is, I forget, but it's like, and again, like my word for my style is simple, you know, so obviously I'm drawn to designers that have a similar style. So
I mean, that would look so solid on like a business, you can already tell, business card or any sort of, you know, printed material. I mean, I'm a sucker for print again, but it's a beautiful, I mean, the comments are coming in quite nice, which is quite nice. I can see everyone is definitely appreciating his beautiful designs. So
awesome.
Yeah, should we perhaps look at maybe one more and then we can drop back on? I'm just thinking as we kind of go through, because again, there's a lot to see. That's quite nice.
Yeah, this one's nice too. So again, this is a conceptual project, and just, you know, doing the projects that you want to be attracting and doing, and then putting them onto the like mockups or something that's relevant to that particular project. So this one, I don't know if you're able to see it because of like the screen share, but yeah, it's really neat. Yeah. It's like a full primary logo, and then with like that, again, just really faint, raised, like letterpress style.
I think I love that though. That it's almost like you're kind of curious, right? It's not showing all of it in its context, but enough to maybe, I mean, on screen or mobile, you can probably see a lot clearer, but
yeah.
And I can kind of pick out now, but I don't know what it is, but I love that sort of sense of curiosity there, which is really, really good.
Yeah.
And that kind of like graphic she's got in the middle as well, which is,
I don't know if I can find it. Oh, okay. Here, this is the logo that it was.
There we go.
Yeah. So she does have a graphic here. Like she does do that also. But then again, yeah. So all the different variations of that logo that she's done.
Awesome. Cool.
Yeah.
I mean, that was an amazing artist. I mean, we wasn't lying, guys, when we told you we had a good artist spotlight, because that was so definitely you can see her Instagram there, you know, go and follow her, and check her stuff out at work as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, amazing stuff. So I would say we're about sort of 20 minutes or so, just under. Okay. Perhaps we maybe go back and then maybe do some refining, and then we can kind of wrap up towards the end.
Sounds good. So I'd actually like to hear what other people think about the pink on the purple. It definitely wasn't like my original intention, but I'm really liking it. So I guess, do people like the green over the purple or the pink over the purple for the primary like logo walk-up? Yeah, get those. So we're saying, so do you know, perhaps run through that one last time, and then we can maybe do like an A or B or a left or right? Yeah. So green on purple for A, or pink on purple for B.
Awesome. Yes, place your bets now. We can see what everyone's feeling. I mean, overall, I mean, it's for me. I mean, the designs look great. I do like the one on the right. I do really like. I know what you made a good point about the accessibility and legibility, and I could see. Maybe that would be some like designer brains ticking away. I'm thinking that would be a thing, the accessibility. Mm-hmm. But again, for the Zillenials, right, is the audience looking at. Clashing colors is actually seems to be more of a modern thing now than anything. So we touched on that yesterday. So maybe that's not the worst thing in the world to have that kind of idea of things clashing. The comments coming in now. We've got so green over purple seems to be a winner. Well, we got Shelby said. Pink over purple looks fine for print. Green is eye-catching otherwise. And Olivia said, I like the pink on purple. It's very different. An A, of course, from Ahmed. So it's quite an interesting range there from different people's perspectives. But that's what we like to see, difference.
Yeah, and that might be a scenario too where I do give the client a choice where I'll give them all the file, like I'll give them the green and I'll give them the pink file colors for that particular logo, and then they can decide how they want to apply it, like if they like one or the other, or you know, it could be something like you're just using it for business cards, like where it's not as like prominent as maybe like the website, where it's kind of like a graphic element, and it's not necessarily for that like main brand recognition. So yeah. We've
got Chris from the comment. He's loving your design so much, Hayley, that he's even saying he needs to see it in person because again, it's just seeing. But he said, "I love to see these in person." So again, these look great. You could totally imagine them all work. I mean, that wrapping paper as well. I would definitely want to use that. I'd say.
Yeah, it's fun. Okay. So let's see what this looks like on the green on the purple, and then we can go from there, and then we'll format that final file.
Nice. And what we'll do, let's say we have a few minutes or so, maybe 6 or 7 minutes, we'll do this, and then we'll definitely do like a nice little wrap up potentially of, you know, the day, what we've learned as well, and what we've kind of like an overview for our audience to get a feel for it. But I mean, this time has completely flown by. How quick to sort of see your process. But it's been fun. It's been nice to really see the colors and everything you kind of explored. But yeah, let's have a little play with this one first, and then we can do a little nice recap.
Sounds good. I do like that. I like it on the purple. Oh yeah.
We've got videos. So people are in the votes now, doing the votes. So I mean, we're a sucker for polls at Adobe Live, so that's all good. So when the final results come through, I'll let you know. But but that's looking cool. What you're showing us now, actually, on again, sensibility wise, really good.
Definitely, yeah, I do like this actually. Yeah, hard to choose. Definitely stands out more. And so, yeah, maybe it's something that we use, purple background on the website, and then that green logo as the primary for like web applications or where its legibility is crucial. And then any additional graphic elements, like even perhaps now that I'm thinking about it, we could do a purple background and then the really faint pink logo for the tissue paper. Like earlier I was trying to figure that out and I couldn't quite get it. And but that might be fun to do, and where it's just like it's not crucial that the brand name is seen, but it's like that fun brand element that's brought in. So yeah.
So it looks like we've got a winner actually. So we've got, well, it's funny because we've got Mandeep who said team green over purple, but I think the winner, and as a unanimous vote, seems to be, looks like green overall is winning. Green over purple, I should say, is winning. So there we go. So yeah, looking good. Right. Looking good. And what I would say is, I mean, now it's kind of like quite nicely into that point now where, I mean, it's looking great so far. Maybe we can have like a nice recap of what we've done, and then more importantly, we can do a bit more about how people are going to catch up about you and follow up more on your social media, especially about those courses as well, because they seem really good. So yeah, let's do a little nice recap before we get into it.
All right, let's do it. So this is where we started yesterday with our mood board. We explored typography and created that custom ampersands, played with the E a little bit. And the end of yesterday, we ended on this direction, but I wasn't quite ready to solidify the colors yet. So I played with them a lot today and ended up being really excited about the colors that we landed on. And I think that they feel more youthful and will attract those like Zillenial ideal clients for the customer. And then we also went ahead and formatted all of the mockups. That's where we spent most of our time today, was all the mockups, creating those so that the client can really get an idea of what the brand will look like in the real world, so that we're not just showing them a logo over a white background. We can just really show them in use and kind of sell that design that I've created. And so this will get put together into the extensive document that I'll stylize and send off to the client for that final review. So yeah, and then like I said at the beginning, I'm Hayley Fetters of Studio Seaside. We help clients with branding and web design, but then we also have a portion where we have online courses and one-on-one coaching for people who want to take their kind of like side hustle or freelance gig and go into full-time, and also refine their branding process. So we have Brand Process Savvy, which is getting ready to relaunch actually in March. So if you're interested, you can, join the waitlist on our site. And we also have a lot of free content over there. I know someone asked about pricing, and I don't know if I mentioned it, but I have a blog post that's pretty extensive, all about pricing for graphic designers. And just really passionate about helping people like work for themselves and take their side hustle full time. So
I mean, I've seen your social media. They're quite. It's awesome because they're like little nuggets and little gems of like tips and advice for young people or people in general with branding. But there's a comical element to it as well. The TikTok videos that you do, which I think are quite cool. Is there anything? I mean, perhaps like you could show us like a website or your Instagram.
Sure, I can show you guys. Yeah, my website for sure. And first of all, we have there's my Insta, and this has like this is geared primarily towards client work. So I do get like a bit of clients through Instagram. So like you'll see that my feed is kind of tailored towards that. And then my reels are more educational for graphic designers. So there's like quite a wide range of stuff in there. And then the website is geared towards clients, but if you're a graphic designer wanting to get the free resources that I mentioned, you'll come to Studio Seaside, and then under education, we have all kinds of resources. So depending on where you're at, like I kind of like to break it down into like newbie, freelancer, and then kind of like the creative expert. So if you're a newbie, we have free resources like guides and tips, and then also a Facebook group. If you are kind of a freelancer wanting to go to that next level, we have workshops that are not up yet, but you can get notified when they are. So how to attract bigger budget clients, and then also the one concept method, which I talked a little bit about how I use that in my process. I only deliver one concept to clients. And then our courses, so brand process savvy, how to attract clients, and then also onboarding, which sounds like you're getting ready to go on like a cruise ship, but it's not. It's like
does it involve a cruise ship? There's no cruise ships involved. Okay.
No cruise ships involved.
Zero
basically
cruise ship.
like
okay.
Yeah, the process of when the client gets in touch to like when the project actually starts working, that whole process and how to automate that so that it's seamless for both you and the client, and saves time really. So yeah.
Nice. I mean, I feel like again for over the past 2 days, I should say, of streaming, it's been nice to sort of see the comments coming through, and I feel like a lot of people hopefully will kind of go to these courses because it sounds like, they're there to kind of help to support, and whether you're just starting out or you might want to maybe sharpen your skills, it's the opportunity is there, right? To really to do more, which is great. And even the branding on the side. When I checked out your work before coming on, I'm in awe with how that consistent look for your social media right into the website branding. It looks great. It looks really, really nice.
Yeah, very intentional. You like I was saying earlier, like you have to like put out the work that you want to attract. And so that's one thing as designers we can do is like really tailor our website and our social media. And, we have the skills to be able to do that. So you might as well do it.
And just out of curiosity, because we've got a few minutes or so, with your blog, what kind of stuff do you kind of post on your blog?
We get a feel for? Yeah. So this stuff is all free. So, just like little nuggets of like free content, like how to stop clients from ghosting you, tips on sales calls, how to attract bigger budget clients. So I know that that's like a kind of a struggle for people who have already been freelancing and maybe they've just been doing jobs for free or like working with friends and family, and they're ready to transition into like attracting actual clients that want to pay. So there's a blog post on that. Automation tools, again, that's kind of like the onboarding thing. And then some client features, logo styles. So like tips on branding. This is like kind of a video that I made recently, but like there's 7 different types of logo styles that, and this kind of walks you through that. So yeah, just lots of info. That's kind of how I actually started getting into my own business, was through blogging. So,
okay.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people have blogs anymore. Like, I don't know if people necessarily read them, but
that's a good point. Do you read many blogs yourself? Or
well, the thing is that the reason that I keep doing it is because it's really good for SEO. So search engine optimization. So I'll create content around the services and the products that I sell so that, when people do an online search, like what are the different types of logos, then my content will show up. And it will help people discover who I am and start attracting clients and all that stuff. So that's why I continue to do it. But yeah, I don't know if like blogging is like as big as it used to be when I first started. So
that's interesting. Like I do follow blogs myself, like more creative blogs, but I feel, in terms of like almost like a journal kind of stuff. I don't really follow many of myself, but I guess for, those in the chat, this is great because this is a nice resource, and see that it's quite, active that you're doing this as well. And then it's really nice to kind of follow up on.
Yeah. So one thing I do with my content is I'll bring it all into, I pin everything to Pinterest. So like these images that you saw, let's see if I can get it back. These images, like these little header images, will get pinned onto Pinterest, and then that helps me bring in a lot of traffic to my website and business. So like I'll have clients come and find me through Pinterest. They've like seen my designs. And yeah, so it just kind of all works together to try and bring in clients. Cause that's kind of like a really big part of, you know, of working for yourself is like, it's not all just like designing all the time. It's also attracting clients and like finding the work. So yeah.
No.
Yeah.
And I feel, I mean, for you guys, I mean, this has been great. And for myself as well, to sort of see your process. So I feel like for everyone in the chat, you know, a massive, massive thank you for kind of joining us. And again, Hayley, it's been an absolute pleasure to kind of see you in your process. So hopefully you've enjoyed your sort of 2 days of live streaming with us. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been so fun. Thank you so much for having me. I feel honored to have been able to connect with everybody and share my process. So thank you so much.
Our pleasure. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you. And again, for everyone in the chat, a massive thank you. So just to wrap up, so stay tuned for the latest XD Daily Creative Challenge with Brandon Gross. And tomorrow we have a day of masterclass with Adobe Evangelists, followed by office hours. So yeah, a massive thank you to everyone who's joined. Hayley, of course, a massive thank you for you coming and showing us your design process. It's been an absolute pleasure. And again, we hope you're feeling, you know, energized and inspired to kind of, you know, do your own branding, and definitely reach out to Hayley, because I'm sure she'd love to answer your questions about branding related themes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Awesome. Yep. So it's been a pleasure, guys. Take care. Be safe.
Bye. Bye.